So these are basically systemic issues within the healthcare sector, within the healthcare institutions. But what about externally? Are there any social factors or external factors that contribute to this environment?
Good question. So I see that there is a decline in society today in terms of in terms of their reaction and the way they react to stress and situations. And that I think is one of the reasons why there's so much violence. And that violence is all pervasive, but it is one of the major brunts who get the violence is the healthcare workers because they're vulnerable, uh, and that's why it's easy, for them to be subjected to this violence. So this societal decline actually is got 4 or 5 factors. The first one is there are unrealistic expectations that are set within these systems. Some of it is to do with us. When we give, guarantees, and there are so many quacks, and there are so many people who are giving their opinions about healthcare issues, and saying, and there's so much of falsity of information that patients come with unrealistic expectations. And how are we to blame for it? In our own marketing communication, with some of the things that I've seen, it is so unrealistic. Let me give you an example. Let's say there's this nice ad from a hospital about total knee replacement. So you show a 75-year-old man or a woman who's unable to walk, is almost crippled because of their problems with their knee, and then you say, you undergo the total knee replacement on both sides, and voila, you can now go and run a marathon. So they show that, that's the expectation, that if I undergo a TKR, then I will run a marathon. Seriously? Is that what is going to happen? So you're setting the expectation, and this expectation is not going to be met. It's not realistic, and therefore you're going to be in trouble. Because when you don't meet up to the expectation that you have set, there are going to be consequences. Similarly, there are so many commitment, the lack of communication, lack of transparency from our side of billing, proper communication doesn't happen. There is brevity of communication. Patients don't know what is going on. So that causes, that just escalates the anxiety and stress for the patient and their relatives. The other thing that I noticed, which has really declined, is the disrespect for healthcare workers. 30, 40 years ago when we were younger, people respected us, and that is the reason probably they didn't act violently. Now that respect is gone, and probably the reasons that I don't want to beat them, but the trust is gone. They don't respect you because they don't trust you. They don't trust you because you're not transparent in your dealings. You don't communicate enough. You promise so much, but you actually deliver less. So there are a lot of things that go into that mixture. Another big thing is that as a society we are now condoning mob justice. So mob justice means that it's okay, for somebody to, because of road rage or whatever, beat up somebody, because of faith issues or whatever. Every day you read the newspaper where there is somebody who's taken the law in their hands, and people are saying it's okay because the guy deserved it. No, that's not right. Actually, mob justice is not a societal norm anywhere. We're going back to prehistoric caveman era, where it's the mighty who will prevail, which is not right. Another big area that private sector is facing is unwillingness to pay. So when the patient is presented with a bill, they hesitate, they don't like the bill, they don't want to pay, they want discounts, they are not happy with the outcome, so they say we will not pay. Lots of things happen at that stage, and most of the my colleagues who own nursing homes and hospitals, especially in smaller towns, will tell you that this is a pretty common problem. So how do you manage that? And when they don't want to pay, then they will create a dispute, and that dispute then will add up into some kind of physical abuse and all that. Does this happen with anybody else, any other sector? I mean, you go to a hotel, you go to a restaurant, you go and pay the bill. Huh? Even if you go to a dhaba, there are very few people who will go and assault the dhaba owner because he gave them a bill. Why does it happen with hospitals? There is a problem, sir. It is to do with us, it is to do with society. Last but not least is that there is a politicization of the enforcement of law. So the perpetuator of the violence sometimes is protected by political, agencies, and the police do not take action because of this protection. So that's another area that is causing, this is part of this whole society's response towards perpetuating this violence against healthcare workers. So to sum up, there is this whole business of lack of infrastructure, overcrowding. Number two is understaffing. Number three is faulty design. Number four is there is a complete systems failure. There is no system. And last but not least is the society. So these are all major factors which are actually leading to this issue.